for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic!
Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. My name is Ryan Clifford and Brendan Rodgers has resigned. A short exit from Celtic Park. We are joined by Daniel and Alan, all the way still from Mexico. Well lads, obviously myself and JP were live last night when this announcement did come over social media. So at this point in time it was quite new. It was at the end of the show, so we didn't really get to touch on it properly. And obviously now, 24 hours or so less, if you want to call it that. The next day, it's now major news. Martin O'Neill's take over with Shaun Maloney. Matt Fotheringham and Steve McManus has also joined the coaching staff, with John Kennedy leaving. Glenn Bristow and the rest of the backroom staff have left. Stevie Woods and Gavin Strachan are still there. Alan, how are you, mate? Hope the holiday's well. And obviously this has become a wee bit of a shock. Obviously we did think potentially, if we didn't get results in the next few weeks or so, that he maybe could be under a lot of threat with his job. But I didn't think we expected a resignation, mate. So what's your thoughts? Can I on the back of that, mate?
That was a surprise at the time, obviously. When you look back, you've obviously seen a massive disconnect between the Celtic hierarchy and the manager, and maybe followed onto the players as well. But I think it's probably been coming for a long while. I was pretty positive that he wouldn't sign a new deal. You could see that there was a disconnect, even though the hierarchy came out in a statement, Michael Nicholson, and basically lied to us and says that, so it's only a couple of weeks ago, he came out and says, the relationship between the two was Pandabidosi. So, it's a bit of a shock just now. It's still a lot of information to take in just now. I don't think we fully know what's went on behind the scenes. I'm sure we'll dig into about the despicable statement that's come out from Dermot Desmond, completely unacceptable. That just shows why there's a movement for change within the fan base. These guys are not fit for purpose. At present, I'm thinking my emotions will change throughout, and if there's more information that comes out, I'll maybe change my mind. But I'm slightly feeling that still, Brendan's been absolutely ostracised and just hung up to dry. I think there will be a response, but only time will tell. And if I'm false in what I'm saying just now, I'll take that all back. But this stinks to the high heavens, and this board, owner, higher majority shareholder, whoever it may be, needs removed immediately, because this is not working whatsoever.
And obviously yourself, Daniel, that is a bit of a shock. Obviously we'll come to terms with it, digest it, all the statements, information that's probably going to come out, all the media stuff, through the papers, the pundits, people in the know, they might come out with more information, mate. But what's your thoughts there for obviously what Alan said, mate?
Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all well, managing that shock well. But yeah, for me, listen, it's too up in the air just now. But based on what's already happened previously, like Alan says, statement only a couple of weeks ago for the CEO in the meeting with the fans, and said he's not entertaining any sort of idea of disharmony between the manager and the board. And then that absolutely destructful statement for Dermot Desmond. I don't think anybody can view it any other way, whether it's destructful towards Brendan, towards what's happened. He's destroyed everybody that he's took aim at in that statement. And he said that Brendan was actually the cause of the disharmony. So the people in the boardroom haven't got their story straight, and then obviously there's always two sides to a story. So like Alan says, we just need to kind of a wait and see on more information coming out. But yeah, for me, it's just something that right now is a total absolute mess and needs addressing.
Like Daniel says there, Alan, as much as we can obviously go through the podcast as we go along, is it Rodgers, is it Desmond, is it the board, is it the players, we can go through everything. But what's your thoughts on what Daniel says there, mate? Obviously the club has a wee bit of a mess into a turmoil. We're 8 points behind. We've got a new manager, coaching staff at the moment. Your manager's just resigned after saying last week or so he was highly motivated to succeed and turn this round. And then you've got the statement for Desmond, mate. What's your thoughts on obviously what Daniel says there? Do you think there's nobody's really taking accountability for it yet? It's just it's him, it's me, it's her, it's him, it's that guy there, it's him on the park. It's until we get on information, mate. I think it's very hard to pinpoint one person or a group of people. I think as a moment we just need to get as a collective. We don't know why he's resigned. Is it because he's had enough? Is it because he was told he was getting sacked? Is it to do with the transfer window and now it's came to light he's not happy? We don't know, Alan, until we get the full information, but the full consensus is it's a shock and nobody expected this to happen.
I've just seen some, no, definitely, I've just seen some comments there. As far as I'm aware, right, should be doing it if I'm wrong, but I believe that what I've read, that Dermot and Brendan it was just they two were in that conversation. So for what defamation or suing, etc., it wouldn't be relevant because I could come up to Ryan and say your half 10 show is rotten. And if the boys come up to me, I could say, nah, I didn't say that. So for that, unless there's been an official meeting that's happened, which doesn't sound the case, it seems like there's just been quite a heated exchange. I can't see any comeback from that, and that's why I entirely expect Brendan to come out with some sort of statement. I'm just looking at the bigger picture with regards to, we look at how this board has acted over the last number of months and the last number of years, to be fair. When that speaks for the blame factor, that's what I was going to say with that comment, got the accountability. So this blame's all been put on Brendan. But I seem to remember when the statement came out to the fans, they were blaming UEFA for blaming UEFA. They were blaming different markets for not being able to get transfers in. They were blaming the fans for creating a toxic atmosphere, and they didn't take one bit of accountability. So, going on that evidence and the facts in the past, I can trust in one job. They've lied so many times. We are talking about a board that when they were questioned about their transfer activity, it was met in an official meeting by Michael Nicholson by a shrug of the shoulders. That was in the minutes. He shrugged his shoulders, but knew because Brendan's left or whatever's happened, we've just to believe that, oh no, everything they say is gospel. Nah, no, for me, I think there's too much water under the bridge. There's too much happened. There seems to be one common denominator between all these problems that we're having. I'm not saying that Brendan's not to blame and he could have kind of performed a hell of a lot better within the team, but you could see quite clearly there was problems there. And I think as Daniel touched upon earlier, just before we come on, I think the biggest red flag is John Kennedy leaving after 27 years. And I think Daniel's bang on the money with that. I think that just shows if John Kennedy's been there for that long, he's been through different managers, different coaches, etc. Why would he leave? If it was all Brendan's fault, why would he leave? Nothing makes any sense. And I think this is going to be one that will come out and there'll be more and more to this story because just now, nothing fits together, honestly. It's like trying to do a 1,000-piece jigsaw with a bit of cardboard. There's no enough information, but everything that I see to what's happened in the past, I'm still way against the board. I think Brendan has been hung out to dry still. I think when you look back on the transfer business, you look back on the way that he says about he wasn't selling Adam either. Then that happened. Then he was forced to get into the free agent market. You're looking back as well that he needed a replacement for Kyogo. Come out publicly and says that. So he's been publicly disrespected by this hierarchy. Continue to happen. So there's always so much his pride and his professional courtesy that Brendan can keep a hold of. He's just been constantly ostracised and constantly hung out to dry. For me, I think I might be wrong, but I think it might come out that this is, like always, a hierarchy issue. There is blame on all parts, but I'm still focusing the majority of my blame towards the hierarchy. One day, one statement does not change this. You would need to be massively naive just to go full circle on this just now.
I think Alan, obviously, in terms of the board, let's be fair, a lot of the fan base have been wanting change for a long time. This hasn't just happened over a period of time. Obviously, Daniel, we'll touch on the board, the statement for Desmond, and then we can slightly touch on Rodgers. And like I says, we'll try and be balanced here. If Rodgers has manipulated things and he has lied to us and guys lied to us and made this the board against the fans against the board, then we can say, well, he's finished. Probably not back to Celtic Park again. All his legacy, reputation is done with the fans. Then that we'll deal with that. And then if the board have lied and Desmond's lied, whatever it is, whoever's lied, then we'll obviously we'll go with that. But as we've said, we've only got one statement as it stands now, Daniel. And Dermot Desmond is a non-executive director. He's a shareholder, but he's not Celtic. He's not the owner. So as Alan says in some of the statements says, the statement from Dermot Desmond is not a Celtic statement. So it's not in Brendan's contract or anything like that Brendan can't come out and reply to it. So it's a personal dig on his character and everything else about the manager who's just left. Could that have been done in-house? Is Desmond right to put it out? People might say yes, people might say no. I'm just putting it to you, Daniel. Should he have maybe said it in a different language, or should have said it in between him and the manager personally, if it's through text, through phone calls? Or do you think he's right to say that he's got to say, maybe he's had enough of the manager come out and saying certain things about the board and the transfers, and he's having to come out and say, no, this is what's happened to the Celtic fans. So looking at both ways, mate, what's your situation on what you feel from the information that we have at the present time?
Yeah, just going on the information that we have. I mean, obviously you're spot on. He's non-executive role. He's a shareholder, but he's not the majority shareholder. And I think last night's statement more aligned with someone who was. I think if we're looking at who makes the rules and so on and so forth, he has acted as if he is the majority shareholder for a long period of time. And I think John Paul Dykes on Sky Sports, whether that was this morning or this afternoon, was absolutely spot on.
It's morning, mate. Aye.
It's confusing to us fans because, like Alan says, he's no Celtic. It says on the website a statement from Dermot Desmond, so he's no Celtic FC, and I think a lot of people often get confused because they think, oh, he's in control, this. He's no. He only has 34.7% of the shares. So if we look at it both sides of the coin, has Brendan maybe lied to us? We don't know yet, but all we have is what Dermot Desmond, who has said, who is not an executive, who has not spoken in any form to the fans since 2022. He does not attend the AGMs. So why is he making statements like that? anything, I would have been expecting a statement for executives last night rather than him. So, aye, for me, I just don't understand it. But yeah, I think in time to come, we will see a reply because we know Brendan Rodgers. He's not going to let people say things about him, and he always has his moment eventually. So we will see a reply. It's just a matter of when for me. But I'm struggling to believe in whole and what Dermot Desmond said because, as we know, the Celtic board only too shy at lying to us and trying to make us feel stupid.
Aye, obviously, JP and Barry Bannon will be on tonight at 8 o'clock, so I'll let them go through the statement in more detail. We'll just touch on it briefly. We won't go into detail. We'll let the guys do it later on. Obviously, Baz came on. It's brilliant to get his thoughts and obviously his current stature, or he knows how clubs work and ins and outs it, so it'll be good to get his point of view on it as well. Obviously, Baz can only say certain things due to obviously still playing, but it's just good to get his point across, obviously working in that field. But like he says, Alan, in terms of what Daniel says there, both of these are right in a degree that obviously Dermot Desmond, he isn't Celtic, he is a shareholder. But just mere money lawyers. He's just a family, a share in a club, and he's got a major shareholder. Yes, he has worked up to that level, and listen, I'm not saying I'm trying to be as balanced as I can here. The board have done amazing for us in terms of certain things, as in how domestic we are. Could they help us in a lot of aspects? Yes, they have. Like Ange, when he left, Lonnie Dyer, Brendan the first time, and Neil Lennon, they all spoke about how they wanted more money to help the club, progress the club. I've asked for more money. I've asked for this player. So they're not lying. The managers have no lied. So even Neil Lennon, who has been praising the board recently, he said that when he left. Ange says that when he left. And Ange has even praised the board, said how good they were with him and the rebuild, etc. So they've been good and bad. So we can't just all go now that Desmond's telling the truth or he's lying. We don't know. But we can't just take away what we've talked about the board, right? We've been crying for change for a long time to help the club, and certain guys need to move. No, as in the full board need out. Certain guys need replaced, a bit of freshness. As a sporting director, I've always said on here, Aaron, in my opinion, we need a sporting director. I watched an interview with Paul John Dykes this morning, good interview, Daniel, and the guy, Tom, he said everything that I've said on here, a few I've also said on here, I think JP's said as well, Aaron, about a sporting director. It deals with the manager and the football side and let the business side deal with the business side. And I think if it's Rodgers, if it's the board, is it Desmond, people are all involved, Alan, in this situation. It's not just one person. People are wanting a bit and they want this, they want that, we want this, I want that. There's no harmony between the board and the manager and recruitment team. It's all a mess, and I think the full collective are to blame. The manager's got to blame, the players, the board. But for me, like I mentioned last night, Aaron, it started years ago, but this recent downfall, it started, in my opinion, for January, when they let Kyogo go, when you're still in all competitions, just because we had the Rangers and they were honking at the time. In my opinion, it was complacency. They didn't replace him, even though he asked. But we can only go on what we see. We don't know behind the scenes. So behind the scenes, it could be different. He could have said everything's fine, and he says to us in the media that he wants this. So we need to go with trying to balance. But you let him go, then they replace him, and then in the summer, you've no a right winger. You've had months to prepare for the qualifiers. Is that on the manager or is it on the board? As a fan base, we can decide, Alan. But what's your thoughts, mate, on that, mate?
I agree with you. I think that it's been a mess for a long time. I think it is a collective to blame, but I think you just need to look back on the kind of players that's been brought in to replace the ones that have left. And I think you need to look back on previous statements as well. When you look at we've not replaced Kyogo, when you look at we've not replaced Poole in a timely fashion, there seems to be this common denominator constantly that's happening. Brendan was coming in saying that he didn't want to basically stand still. Can't remember the wording he used, but he says he didn't want to stand still. He wanted ambition. He wanted to move forward, and he was continuously hit with these players that probably it was shown in black and white that he doesn't want. They're looking at kind of the likes of Shindy Mada. You're looking at the likes of Inamura, Simpson Poosie. You're looking at Callum Osmond. You're looking at giving Johnny Kenny a new contract. This is like half of the, I've said before, this is like half of the signings that we brought in the summer. And it's simply, it's no matching of potential with ambition. I'm sad to say, but that's probably the reason why Brendan's become, rightly so frustrated. Just the mind boggles on how this club has been run just now in a footballing terms, because in business terms, these guys are obviously great business minds, but we don't want to see business on the park. We don't want to see like a blank checkbook at the park. We want to see these players performing, kind of players coming in that are of the quality that we require. And it's not been happening, and that's been shown constantly throughout the years with managers that have been kind of that have not been backed. They've come out publicly and said it as well. This isn't just a one-off. So for me, it's all about kind of moving forward, but it's still, I think it is really confusing where we are at present. If there is a change at the hierarchy, which has been rumoured, then so be it. But what you say, Ryan, it started at Kyogo. It's a domino effect here. It's just regressed, and we've lost players, no replaced them in time of fashion, bringing in players that are not good enough or not getting an opportunity because they're not even showing enough in the training pitch. So it's shown. I think Daniel says earlier that Brendan will be responding to this. We need to look at it seriously, lads. Brendan's a highly intelligent man. He's not got to where he is in football for no reason whatsoever. And he knows he's intelligent in interviews as well, because he knows exactly what he's saying. He says things for a reason. He just puts that wee tiny bit out there, and he'll be sitting there. He'll be sitting there and calculating exactly what he plans to say. He'll not come out right away and kind of make a knee-jerk reaction. He's a smart man, and I just go back to my original point. If you had to give me the question, I don't know about you guys, who to trust, that these board members that have continuously lied to the fans throughout this process of us looking for change, continually disrespected us when we're looking for change, just basically treated us as if we're children and stupid, or a manager that's come out and kind of called them out constantly for these kind of things. He's portrayed himself in a most of the time in a great fashion. He's not been perfect by any means, but for me, as I sit back and look at the evidence that we've got for the past, I tend to think I believe Brendan rather than the guys that have blatantly lied to our faces constantly.
Like you say, Aaron, it's up to people's debates who you decide to believe at this present time. Obviously, we've only had Dermot Desmond's statement, and obviously Brendan Rodgers will probably be able to give reply if he wants, because like Daniel says, and we've mentioned and we've seen obviously on social media, that it's not a Celtic statement and it's not out with his Celtic contract. So it's between him and it's Dermot Desmond. It's between they two. So it is quite a damning statement. It's questioned his obviously character and his personality. Normally you say well done, thanks for your efforts, no matter how well you've done. And so, but I don't know, Daniel, if he's had enough of it and he's wanted to come out and put things straight. He says there was a contract on offer. Brendan said there wasn't. And then he says, so we can only go on what's been said. There's people giving different bits of accountabilities and information. So it's really what you piece together, Daniel. But like Alan says, the board the fans have been wanting change for a long time. No, everybody has to go, but the way the model has to be tweaked, transfers need to be quicker. JP's even mentioned it recently that he wants things quicker done. the recruitment process has to be better. The recruitment, let's be fair, Daniel, the recruitment in the summer was an absolute shambles. Yeah, it was a disgrace. And would we be in this situation if the window was better? Probably no, because like we've all mentioned, it's a snowball effect. And would Brendan Rodgers be leaving if the window was better? Probably no. Yes, we all know, listen, we don't want to keep backtracking. Did we have enough to beat Dundee, Hearts? Yes. Did we have enough to beat Almaty? Yes. Did we have enough to beat Braga? Yes. But I keep saying it, I said last night, and I'll probably keep you back on it a tiny wee bit, Daniel, if it comes to the worst that I hope we don't win anything or don't win the league, etc. If you stop it at source, I said it months ago in the January window, we've got a rebuild in the summer for the qualifiers. If you sign 3 or 4 players anew, if you can, that are really good, it eases you into the qualifiers, it gets you slightly prepared, and you don't need to do much. Like Arnie Slot spoke to Arnie McCoist in his TNT interview, he says he went on holiday knowing just about all his summer was done. He could relax for 2 or 3 weeks, having beers with his family, whatever it is he done, because the summer window was just about done. His recruitment was done. I know Liverpool are short him in markets that maybe we don't in terms of money, but they've got maybe a gamble spending £100 million in Isaac, etc. They've done their due diligence just about before the summer starts, so they can train, boom, and we weren't fully prepared to give the manager. Obviously, we'll touch on the manager side to see if he's lying and what he's got to do better. But did the board, quite frankly, give Brendan Rodgers the best chance possible for him to help this Celtic team in all fronts? For me, the answer is no until I get more information. That's my thoughts on it, Daniel. I don't think they did, and it's quite obvious. They've not got a right winger. They've not got a top striker. The squad's bare fun and quality. You've seen it recently off the bench. Who's at fault for that? Is it recruitment? Is it manager? Is it the board, Daniel? For me, it lies with the board, because they're the one that put the money in.
Yep, definitely. Just to touch on what you said earlier about thanking for the efforts, the club statement does that. The club statement says thank you for everything, and then Dermot Desmond comes out and goes, well, this is everything that I don't like about you. So that just further proves that he's no Celtic, because the club's view was, thank you, Brendan, for everything you've done. He's resigned. Martin O'Neill's in, boom. Then Dermot Desmond comes out and goes, boom, 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 and just blows it up completely. So, but mate, listen, we all know, looking at that summer transfer window, that it was an absolute shambles. We've spoke about it time and time again. For me, I'm in agreement with you. I do not think the Celtic board gave Brendan Rodgers the best possible opportunity to go and do it. However, I do think, looking at the tie that we got in the Champions League qualifier, there should have been enough quality in that squad already there to go and do it. So, no, I don't think they've gave him the best possible opportunity. Should we have been able to do it with the squad that was there? Aye. But see, when you start selling your big hitters and you don't replace them, it comes back to bite you, mate. And we've seen that evidently at the weekend.
Well, Daniel, I'm thinking about, let's see the carry on with the likes of Dyson Maida, the way the organisation worked with that. We're not in a position to make a massive profit after one of our star players. You're looking at Adam Ida. We're told we couldn't sell him because we couldn't get somebody in. You're looking at Marco Tilio. We could not sell Marco Tilio because we didn't have a replacement. Is that right? Yang, we can't sell him because we didn't have a replacement. This all just screams out a lack of organisation, a lack of structure, a lack of forward planning, a lack of anything, a lack of brain cells with the sounds of it. So it's just like, in what world should we go, all right, this statement's been put out, we better trust this guy, when all this has been going on right in front of our eyes for the whole time. It's just that you see anybody that thinks, oh, that's gospel. The statement that's come out for Dermot Desmond, if you're not saying something like that, what's happened in the past? What's happened? No, we're not just imagining this, that they've been lying to us, they've been lying constantly to us. honestly, they've been treating the whole Celtic support like children. Hence the reason why there's this movement for change. It's not just imaginary, it's not just in thin air. It's all here, it's all there, right in front of you. These guys have been acting like this for the best part of a decade. Team managers have come out with the same statements. It's not just like one half, they're all coming out with the same things and says, oh, and they're not be able to speak about it because they've been sacked or paid off or moved on, whatever. But this has been happening time and time again, and it's wakey time for anybody that doesn't see this because, again, I just need to say the same thing. Throughout this whole, any problem in the last decade or so, there is one common denominator, and that is the Celtic hierarchy. So it's just like, well, so Brendan's leaving, we'll blame him. Ansley for Spurs, we'll blame him, or whoever it may be, we just blame everybody else. The fans were even getting the blame, UEFA were getting the blame. Tax systems in different countries were getting the blame for them because there's no accountability with this hierarchy. They need removed immediately, and this movement needs to continue because it's simply no good enough. Don't believe a word they say. Let's go. I got a parrot. Oh, there's loads of behind.
No, like I say, Alan, and then obviously, Daniel, if we look at it on the other side of it, we need to try and be balanced as much as we can, in my opinion. We need to try and look at both sides. If it is Brendan Rodgers who was the issue, and it was Brendan Rodgers who, me and Jackie did mention it. I didn't like some of his comments after the Hearts game about Tanecki and the Dane Murray thing, and for me, gaslighting, in my opinion, I agree with Jackie there, what he said yesterday. He says that Tanecki can't play right where he can. He played there for Bodo, Hammerby, and he plays there for Tunisia. He can play right mid. I'll obviously touch on that for you as well, lads. But what's your thoughts on that, Daniel? Because if Brendan has been saying different things in meetings or in with the board or through text message or phone calls with the board members, i.e. Desmond, Lawwell, etc., Nicholson, and then he's come out and saying things to the fans that he's saying different in these meetings or personal texts or whatever, then and he's manipulating things and he's making the fans go against the board with this and that, and then he's telling the fans they can think what they want, they can do what they want, it's up to them, they pay their money. Then surely, let's be fair, he has to be accountable. I think he'll lose all respect of the fan base if this is the case, that Desmond's right. If Desmond's right, then I doubt you'll ever see Rodgers back at Celtic Park again in a long time. I don't think you'll see him in the boardroom and hospitality. I don't think you'll see fans really want to speak to him again. He'll not be at any events. He'll know it. I don't think he'll be back at Celtic Park if his legacy's gone like that. There is murmurs, as James says, about there's articles down south about him potentially getting the Wolves job if the guy gets sacked. I think if he goes to another club within a few days, fans will say you're done, son. You're done, mate. Like that's crazy to leave a Celtic job and go to another job within a few days again. Personally, I don't think that's the case. I think there's been something went on. He's resigned for whatever reason. Do I agree with resigning the new? No. If he was going to resign, if it was through the transfer window, Daniel, he'd have probably resigned then. I don't think he'd resigned after Dundee and Hearts. Has he resigned because he knew he was getting sacked? Has he resigned because he can't handle the pressure? First time in a title race, he's away, or is it because something's generally he's maybe sick of the board, he's sick of it all now, the players are responding to him, he just can't do any more and he's away. I don't know what it is, Daniel. I'm trying to back him up, but then I'm trying to be balanced and say, but if the board are right here, what's your thoughts on if, Daniel, the board are correct and he is the issue? What do you say about that?
Yeah, and that's what we've been reiterating so far throughout this whole thing. You need to look at it critically. We can't let our own thoughts and feelings overpower the information we have on display. With regard to Brendan manipulating media and stuff like that, listen, when Tanecki signed with the club, Brendan says we know he can play on both sides. After the Hearts game, he comes out and goes, he's a left-sided player, he doesn't want to play there. Contradicts himself. I think we all know as well, in recent weeks, his team lineups and substitutions have been a bit questionable. And then the question did come up, as a kind of a kicking and stomping his feet. Do I think that? I don't know, but some of these decisions are highly, highly questionable, and he just looked defeated, in my opinion. He did look out of it for a couple of weeks, and then we got a wee bit of form again. Box office Brendan reappears. Everything seems all right. We go and get beat off Dundee, and then he's calling us a Honda Civic. So it is contradictions. So if you look at it that way, listen, Dermot Desmond might well be right, but see, until we know for definite, we can't pick one side or the other. So for me, listen, if Dermot Desmond is right, I'll hold my hands up and I'll say fair enough. But as of right now, the history of this incompetence for the board overpowers Brendan Rodgers. There's a list of managers there who have said similar things to Brendan. So for me, going off recent times, we can't just blindly go, all right, that's the problem. He was a problem then, because it's a reoccurring thing.
Aye, like you say, Daniel, especially one here, I want to try and be balanced and look at it both ways. I don't want to pin it on somebody or one person or one group when we only know one statement. We don't know why Rodgers resigned or the reason behind it. Was he getting sacked? Has he had enough? Was it due to the transfers? He just thought, I can't get him out of the team. Has he got another job? We generally don't know. I don't know. I've not heard anything. I'm on the boardroom. I don't know. So, but obviously, lads, we've got a wee video from one of our viewers. It is on, obviously. We'll touch on Martin O'Neill and Shaun Maloney, and then we'll get your thoughts, obviously, about the game, obviously, at the weekend, lads. But this is one of your commenters, obviously, about the appointment of Martin O'Neill.
Afternoon, lads. Just a wee quick one. First of all, Martin O'Neill's 73 years of age. He's been there and done it. He's not been successful for many, many years. Been out of the game for a while. So I hope it's not a long-term thing. Hopefully it's just to come in, get a wee bounce and get who we want. But also, this group of players are totally alien to the way Martin O'Neill plays. Martin O'Neill plays with physicality all over the park, and we're a bunch of softies. We get bullied off inferior teams. So how's he going to get a trick out of these players? What way is he going to play? Penny for your thoughts, lads.
Thanks for your commenter there. Quite a good point. Anybody in the comments who wants to obviously go back to that wee video there, put your comments in and we'll put them up. See what you think of the fan there. But obviously, Alan, what's your thoughts on obviously the commenters' view there? Obviously, probably quite a good one to put across. Obviously, Martin O'Neill, he is a legend at the club. He is a hero. That was 20 odd years ago. He's not managed in 6 years. He is obviously football has moved on, but obviously Martin's still a very intelligent man. He looks at football every day. He's in talk sport. He's obviously speaks about Celtic a lot. He's obviously followed Celtic recently. He's highlighted Engels recently in talk sport of how he really sees him playing. So could he be a major player in O'Neill's team at Celtic? Who knows? But what's your thoughts on the comment there, Alan?
It's a very, very fair comment. I grew up to Martin O'Neill, right? That was that kind of team was my everything. That was right in the prime time in me back in my teenage years. So I will always kind of love Martin O'Neill. I just hope that whatever time he's here, it's not kind of tainted, because I think football's changed dramatically, and you don't want to. I'm not saying it about Martin O'Neill, but there is managers that are kind of viewed like the dinosaur era, right, that's moved on, and that's not referring to Martin O'Neill. I think he should do a great job with Celtic the interim. But you get the likes of Jose Mourinho, it's bouncing club to club because the football's changed so much. Or Rafa Benitez that were they were at top level, and football's changed that much since as Ryan always likes to refer it as the kind of Pep era that's come in. And it's just a completely different dynamic. Where you look back at Martin O'Neill, he was extremely successful with Celtic. He had a great rapport with the Celtic support. As I say, I still kind of love Martin O'Neill. Looking forward to hearing some of his press conference and interviews to see how he sets the team up, etc. He's usually got a team kind of fighting for them, but he's kind of 73-year-old, as the commenter said. He's no managed in a good while, and when the last ones he has managed, I think it's failed quite drastically, to be honest. So I know it's only interim. I'm sure we'll touch on who we'd like for the kind of permanent positions, but I think he should steady the ship just now. I think it's probably for the Celtic hierarchy. I think that it's one of the ones that might appease some of the fans, like maybe the older clientele that can clap away at Martin O'Neill. But I would like to see this being a kind of a permanent solution, because I think, as much as I love Martin O'Neill, I think maybe that time's passed. So it is what it is. We just need to kind of try and be as positive as possible. We move on the interim. Hopefully we get the wins that are needed, because we've got a few massive games ahead of us that could dictate our season, basically. So we'll see what happens. We get behind Martin O'Neill and Shaun Maloney, and whoever else that's behind that. We get fully behind them at present and see how they go going forward.
On a comment from Breezy Ice, we will touch on near the end, Breezy Ice, about certain managers that possibly could come in, or just to see if anybody would fancy them at the club. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on, obviously, the commenters there, view there? For me, I think it's quite a very, very fair comment. He's not managed in a few years. Football has moved on. The way Martin used to play, will Martin Canning play his usual 3-5-2, or will he maybe, just by watching football and by obviously being football on the media side, he's maybe seen different things. Maybe he's actually got a different way now of playing. Who knows? But we all know Martin O'Neill he had a big. I don't want to be disrespectful, but back in the days, it's big, strong men. I know these guys are strong men, but back then it was powerhouses. Even Larson was strong, and Petrov and Mialby. We've not really got that in this team. We've maybe got it in Johnson and Vickers, but Johnson's injured and so is Vickers. So we've not really got physicality to a degree. McGregor slightly, but apart from that, Sriracha you can maybe say, but we've not seen much of him, so we can't really comment. Obviously, Mark Fotheringham's there. McManus is in with Shaun Maloney. You'll probably imagine Maloney will be the training guru. He'll do the training. O'Neill will probably observe and pick the team, etc. Daniel, but what's your thoughts on the commenter there?
Yeah, it's a very fair comment. I mean, I was just a dirty thought in the back of my dad's head when Martin O'Neill left Celtic, so I can't really comment on his abilities and what he's done. But if you look at his record, he brings trophies. But I think Alan's quite spot on. It was a different time. Football's moved on drastically. I think he spoke on TalkSport this morning about how it is just temporary, and I think that's what we want. We've seen kind of a laziness for the board before. I think anybody just needs to cast our mind back to Neil Lennon getting the job in the Showers. I'd say that was a very lazy appointment for the board, which led to massive failure. So Martin said that, listen, I'm only here until they get who they want. He couldn't have emphasised it any more, and I think it's a great stopgap just now, just to try and come in, settle things, and steady it off, because he's not going to be the long-term solution. He's the only serious temporary appointment in that whole lineup. Shaun Maloney, no disrespect to him, great player as a manager, absolute failure. Mark Fotheringham, he's best known for his dodgy voice. So, aye, mate, it's one of these things, man. We can only hope that it steadies the ship the new. And I think he's probably the best out of the list. I mean, Neil Lennon was done up like a fish supper on Sky Sports, so he's probably been thinking, I'm getting a phone call here. So I'm really, really glad that didn't happen. But no, long term, definitely. Martin himself has said that I'm just here to get results on the pitch up until.
Neil Bennett broke any hand in and stood in the showers waiting for it.
No, I agree with Daniel. I think I agree with 2 years. I don't know what the rest of the commenters feel as well, but I think O'Neill's a sensible one from probably Wednesday. Ideally, I would like another manager in before the game on Sunday, but Martin O'Neill, listen, there'll be nothing better. I don't think any Celtic fan or anybody according to Celtic would love nothing more than Martin O'Neill to go and beat Rangers on Sunday. What a story that would be. I think you might see, I do think we'll see a different way of playing under Martin O'Neill. I don't know if it's, we'll touch on near the end as well about what you think in terms of the team tomorrow and the way he'll shape up. But obviously, Alan, the game on Sunday briefly, obviously they took Tanecki off. They said he's going to play there. I thought Tanecki can play there, no bother. I said my piece last night about as much as we can blame the tactics and the subs and everything else, the players are to blame as well. Hearts fitter than you, in my opinion, looked fitter. They looked better coached. I can't even saying that, but they looked better coached than Celtic. They're more organised. They were desire, hunger, running more, tackling more, aggressive more. That is not on the manager. That's on you as an individual. The players have let the fires down as well. We're not playing well. We'll see how the players react with Martin O'Neill, obviously. Will they play with more freedom? Will they start playing better? For me, managers do have a bounce, Alan. I get players get more freedom. It's a sense of relief, new manager, new system, whatever. But I've always says, Alan, if you start playing well when a manager leaves, what does that say about you as a group of players? For me, Alan, when I played football years ago, I didn't care who the manager was. I played for myself, my teammates, and the 50 fans of the ground, whoever it was. You play to win. Doesn't matter what formation, tactics you play. You play as a team individual to go and play well. They're not doing that. It's credit. So we can blame the board and the manager. But for me, the performance on Sunday and Dundee is only positive as well, because like one of the comments says, they look terrified, they look short of confidence, they look like they've lost identity. So what's your thoughts briefly, mate, on the game on Sunday?
We've obviously touched upon the quality of players that we've brought in, so we need to move past that to a certain degree when we're looking at performances. The players there should have enough to get by. The Hearts, as well as they're doing fantastically well, I think that Celtic should have enough quality by them. You're looking at the full team as a whole. I spoke to you and JP before. There's probably maybe say you can Cal McGregor pass marks, and apart from that, you're struggling. There was a few players that really infuriated me. I said this previously after the draw against Rangers. The Negrew is well, you can see the guy's got ability, but his effort, his running back. If I was in the dressing room, you'd be throttling somebody like that. You know how football goes. The bare minimum being a Celtic player or being a football player as a whole, it's giving 100%. It's chasing back, especially there was one time when he lost the ball. When he lost the ball, the pass, and that was he just kind of sauntered back, even though he was the one that was dispossessed. So
he's a ball bag.
we finally agree. But it was just a poor performance overall. I think it lacked any desire. I think that's the main thing. I think when you look at the likes of Negrew and Tanecki, there was no hunger across the park. I think there was a lot of underperformance, even though the guy that I constantly praise, Neil Hattati, I think he was very poor. I think Johnny Kenny was non-existent. You're looking at Murray. Don't know where to go with that. Jesus, that's one.
Here's one for you, Alan, right? I know we'll touch on it briefly because we don't stay over an hour or so. How I did get what JP was saying when I was talking to him. I get what he's saying. I understand slightly why Brendan played him, but at the same time, Dane Murray has done nothing to play in the magnitude of game. He's done nothing to be a first team player right now, to play over an experienced player in Trusty. He's even get, in my opinion, more experience than the boy Simpson Puzzi, who's played in the Champions League with Man City, higher regarded with Man City. He's come up here, he's travelled with the team and leaving in the bench and leaving in the squad. Dame Murray when he got on Celtic's bench 3-4 years ago. So now he's able to play over it. I don't get it, Aaron. I generally don't. That's on the manager that I don't get how Dame Murray, who's hardly kicked a ball for Celtic, even against some, if you want to call St Mirren or consistently, he's even getting drip fed game time. He's just getting put out there and played that game at magnitude. It's bonkers.
I think Brendan's quite a stubborn manager. Well, he was quite a stubborn Celtic manager. He's quite a stubborn unemployed man. So I think Brendan's quite a stubborn manager, and I think he's maybe had a disagreement with Austin Trusty. That's the only thing that I can think of. I don't believe the fact. I think it's just, as much as I've said that about the both of them, Brendan's going to take blame as well. I think he's maybe trying to save face for the word that he's used.
JP, see if that's the case, I'm having my season book back. I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
I know he's joking, but it just shows how much of the regrets that we're thinking about skills.
By the way, yeah, lads, what about the wonderful put out an email tonight? Get your 2 Martin O'Neill t-shirts. Welcome Martin back to Celtic. Get your Martin O'Neill merch.
Before you jumped up that.
Hearts and performance.
That's
Dame Murray.
I'll talk about Dame Murray. So I was going to say he's a young boy. He's 22 in a row. We're relying on. I'd say that as well. I said that to Ryan. I'd say I'd rather have Stephen Welsh than Dame Murray just now.
Shows you well you're done it.
Aye, and you're looking at the likes of Montarovsky, you're looking at the likes of Lagerbielka.
No way Dame Murray's better than them, Alan. Not a chance, man. No way, man.
So you look at Oracles basically with Dame Murray. It's just I don't know what he's saying. Where did he jump out the way in the second one? I don't know in what world that boy you get trained to jump out the way I go. Even if you think it's going by, you're usually making sure you get that contact so the fight's even further back. Then the penalty, that's just criminal. That's just schoolboy stuff. And I think over I don't want to criticise him because he's not done a lot of Celtic games and he is relatively young guy. But you can't come in and make the kind of mistakes. It's just it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen that the manager's picking him when he's doing things like that. It can happen to anybody, right enough, but that penalty is just like that's the worst kind of decision you can make as a defender that you're putting your foot in there. He's gone nowhere. He's gone nowhere. He's going to the wing. So it's. I think overall, when you look at the likes of Donovan and Murray, I think both of them look really, really nervous, really shaky for basically the whole game. The guys have been thrown in, and we've been saying for a number of years on this podcast that we want to encourage kind of young players coming through, but not to the detriment of the team. It can't be to the detriment of our performance or results when we know quite clearly that the Hearts game is a massive, massive game. It could well be season defining. I still get confidence that Celtic's got enough to kind of turn that around, but that could well be season defining. And because Trusty plays with a different fit, we go with the lesser quality young players. For me, it doesn't make much sense. So it'll be interesting, but I think we just need to raise the Hearts performance for our minds because it was pretty woeful, and I think that it was summed up with Legren's miss. I think it could have been a different game if he just puts the laces through that instead of trying what he tried. I think Legren would at least concentrate the effort, concentrate and no doing all this to the fans, and concentrate and just playing football and not try and be delicate things. Just make sure that we're scoring goals and putting in performances because it seems as if it's just a wee bit too all about him for me. And I'm getting serious Lewis Palmer vibes with the way his attitude's coming across. So I hope that's not the case. I hope somebody sits him down, says a word and says, right, back not chasing after boys. that doesn't wash, that doesn't fly at Celtic. Get that sorted in your game. Hopefully he comes forward with that, and I think he's a player with decent technical ability.
There's been some comments as well. Just there has been, again, it's not me. I'm not saying it's happening. There has been rumours on social media, etc., that there will be a potential clear out. Nicholson and Lawwell potential at next AGM. There's been things flying about. Some of the commenters are saying it could be the Leicester CEO come in. So again, it's just rumours. I generally don't know nothing, so we'll just see how that goes. But Daniel, yourself, mate, briefly on the game, what was your thoughts?
Oh, where do we begin?
How long you go?
Jesus, I know how long do we go,
As long as you want,
mate.
mate.
Wow. We said it before, Ryan. My face was an absolute picture when it was projected that Dane Murray was a better technical footballer than Austin Trusty. For me, he proved that he's just no ready. He's just no it. And if Brendan Rodgers has picked him solely because he's right fitted, there's big problems there. I think he's rode his luck long enough, and Aaron's spot on. I said this to you as well, Ryan. He's at fault for all three of the goals. You see Kasper Schmeichel's reaction after the second one. You don't move out your way of a shot if you're a defender. You don't move out the way of a shot if you're a professional football player blocking a goal. So, Dane Murray was a very, very interesting one. I don't think that he'll be starting moving forward. But the game was just really, really poor. Benjamin Negrin again. I gave him his due after the Sturmgrass game. I said you were testing your luck, but you stuck in and you got the goal. I think at the weekend it was back to square one. I think me and Aaron are in some sort of agreement that he's just, I don't know, man. He's just no it right now. He's got goals, but if stats determine football players, then we've got big questions to ask, because watching them on that park, they're no chasing after a ball. It infuriates everybody. And put it this way,
It's get
no,
back to the
fire in.
point you're saying there. Adam Wheeler scored goals, but he wasn't good enough. His all-round
Exactly.
play was good enough. He didn't look fit when he was here. He just didn't look short. He looked short of confidence. So it's all right. Listen, scoring goals are a massive part of football, especially if you play in attacking areas. But you also need to do the basics: is chase your men, tackle. Does he? Again, O'Neill with a new manager. If it's Ange, McKenna, we'll touch on that briefly. They might help that, but that's, for me, Daniel, that's a new player, surely.
Martin O'Neill won't put up with that. Not a chance in hell. He's slow. Everything looks laboured, and Arnie Ingles showed him up against Sturmgrass for me. That's what you want in a midfielder: fight, aggression, running power, and the ability to actually put a half decent ball into the box instead of, like Aaron says, doing this at every corner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that.
No, I'm the same as you, mate.
Every fan I've spoke to is in agreement that does their nothing. Seeing a big game, if it's you're looking to go and get a second, third goal, see when you're 2-0 down against Dundee, don't turn round to us and do that. No chance. Do you know what I mean? Or if you're getting beat off Motherwell at home and you put one in the net, don't stand and do that in front of the fans. I know people have said that's his celebration. Shouldn't even be celebrating equalising against Motherwell at home. So, for me, Negrin showed us why he's getting a bit of stick to now. But no, listen, man, I'm looking forward to seeing how the team shape up the Mora in terms of lineup. Put this in the swear jar. I think this will be my first one. Fuck knows. So that's what I am.
I think the Mora's going to be interesting. Obviously, Alan, just briefly, I'll touch on what you said there, Daniel, but one thing I didn't like about the Celtic team is the national and the manager. is see all this, doing all this and point. I can't stand that. Listen, if you make a mistake, you deal with it. Don't point. That's a team that's no in tune. That's players that are no confident. It's players that are getting, they're full of jaggies, they're aggy, they're definitely no in tune. So that's got to change. But obviously, Aaron, yourself, managers who have been, just briefly, mate, before we end the show, managers that have been briefly touted as Kieran McKenna of Ipswich, Ange back. There's Marco Roses in the bookies as well. There's been Knutson. So is there anybody outfield there, Marlon, you would like, or do you think it's maybe going to be somebody like Ange, who knows the club, he can handle a rebuild, which, let's be fair to the support, we are going to have a massive rebuild next season. We're in a similar small rebuild to now, where the managers and maybe board members wait till the summer when maybe your Vickers might go, your Johnsons might go, Hatati might go, Maeda might go. You've not got a striker really as it stands, proper top number 9. We've got a right winger. Mine's a new goalkeeper. So what's your thoughts, Aaron? Do you go with the guy who you know can do the rebuild and Ange, or do you want something new?
Ange is probably the best footballing side I've seen in my lifetime at Celtic. It excited you. It brought hunger back into the team. It was fast flowing. It was unexpected at times. Like, there was some crazy kind of like the Real Betis kind of like next goes the winner kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love that back. It was very successful as well. As I say, that's probably the best way of football that I've seen at Celtic. So for me, he's went away. He's probably been underappreciated with Tottenham. I know that he finished kind of quite low in the table, but won a European trophy for him. He was absolutely hammered with injuries, by the way. Honestly, but basically his full back line was injured for the majority of the season. So I think the criticism we maybe got at Tottenham for the league position slightly unmerited. I think he was extremely unlucky, and he still managed to win the European trophy with him. So for me, my first pick would definitely be Ange Postecoglou. I know a lot of people might say it's not great to go back the way, but Brendan's shown that it could be successful as well. So for me, I think the best candidate by quite a mile should be Ange. The one that's been linked as well with a lot of kind of top class European clubs, and I've heard that he had been staying at Board of Lunt because he's some sort of a percentage of kind of ownership to be honoured his contract, etc. I don't know if that's true, that could be nonsense, but that's why he's not left to go to other European clubs, etc. So that could fit in. His contract runs out at the end of this calendar year. So Mark O'Neill and Shaun Maloney had to take the helm until that point. I would be happy with Knutson. I think the kind of unprecedented success that he's had with such a small club like Bodo Glimt, it's been noticed all across kind of European leagues. So for me, it would be first of all, I'd be looking for Ange Postecoglou, and then second, if that wasn't the case, I'd be happy with Knutson for Bodo Glimt.
I think Ange is obviously, it's an easy slip in. People might say it's lazy recruitment, but it's an easy slip in. He knows the club, he knows everything about the club, he knows the way the board work as well. So there's not going to be to and fro between them. He knows the league. He can help us, especially get the league back with a rebuild. And some of these players know the way of football. It can bring them back confidence. But again, Daniel, what's your thoughts? Do you go back to the old way Ange? Obviously, Lennon came back, Rodgers came back, Ange came back. Do you go with that, or do you go with a new approach? If it's McKenna, if it's Knutson, if it's even Marco Rose. Well, people have even mentioned Frank Lampard, who's doing well at Coventry. I doubt that because he's come out and he says he loves Rangers, so that's not happening. But do you go out the box and somebody different, somebody abroad, or do you go with what you know in Ange, or do you think Celtic should be scouting the network and get the guy who's perfect for the job, or do you actually just go with Ange and just get what you know?
Yeah, the period under Ange Postecoglou is probably the most exciting Celtic team I've ever seen. I mean, the guy had us thinking we could go toe-to-toe with Real Madrid, and we done it for half an hour.
I know.
Aye, so for me, everybody talks about how it's lazy recruitment, it's just going back, but for me, Ange Postecoglou left Celtic with unfinished business. I think everybody kind of felt that. It was like, what's going to happen in year 3? And we didn't actually get it. So
Yeah.
I'd take him. I'm no going off a nostalgia factor alone. It's because we've seen him come in and do that kind of a rebuild. But also, I would entertain looking elsewhere. Obviously, Alan touches on Knutson there for Bodo. Exciting football. Dismantled Ange Postecoglou's team at Celtic Park. So, there's many options. Obviously, Marco Rosa on the table as well. He's one trip to Celtic Park, and every time there's a new manager, it's all about him. Kieran McKenna as well, linked. Not really sure. But listen, man, I'll take anybody that's a high standard. I cannot watch Neil Lennon again. I can't do it. So,
No.
and I cannot. We've joked about, they're just lining Shaun Maloney up for it. Listen, he's only one step away now, so you never know.
Don't, man. I'm not going to bleach my kit, man. But I can understand Maloney, but let's be fair, even Shaun Maloney, for the job that he's done before, obviously he's got to help O'Neill. Shaun Maloney wasn't the best man for that job. That's just one thing about the club. As much as John Kennedy was probably good at his job, you've McManus obviously part of the coaching team now, LD years ago, other guys who have been, if Johnny Hayes is there now, brilliant guy, probably, but are the guys the best for the job? Probably no. So I think that's got to change as well. We've got to scout if it's a German market, Australian market, the Scandinavian market for all these better coaches that are probably get the better outfit. A guy said Craig Bellamy. Will he leave Wales? He talks very well. He's done well with Wales. Could Martin O'Neill step up and be the sporting director? Could be a good shout. Who knows? But overall, lads, it's been good to chat to you. Get your thoughts. As I says, Barry Bannon will be on tonight with JP about 8 o'clock. They'll obviously probably go through his statement in more detail and obviously get their thoughts as well. And obviously Baz will get his thoughts obviously in the game. Again, it's brilliant to get a guy who is playing professional football that knows obviously these things behind the scenes, and he'll obviously be able to give his detail as well. Alan, enjoy your holiday, mate. Daniel, enjoy the rain here. It's quite drubby now, so it's no great. But thanks to your commenters, the comments and the chat. Obviously, I couldn't get through them all, but thanks a lot. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. You will get notifications if you do that. They will come up on your phone, tablet, or Android, whatever you've got. We are on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. To obviously keep in tune with the latest news and the latest podcast. Like I said, 8 o'clock will be tonight, JP and Barry Bannon. Until then, lads, hail, and I will see you all very, very soon.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson. And Montage! His first goal for Celtic!
Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!